Do not touch that dial.
Stay ahead of the curve and get updates on the latest trends in politics, government, policies, education, economy, social development, amongst others.
We're happy to announce today that both the federal government and the organized labor have agreed on an increase on the 62,000 naira minimum wage.
Join
AYODEJI, AJISOPE,
and
ADEDAMOLA LAFENWA
on from the dailies every weekday from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Solutions 93.9 FM as they dive into the headlines with in-depth analysis and feedback from you on different stories from the national dailies. Start your day by gaining fresh perspectives, uncovering the story behind the story, and join the conversation. Because your voice matters. From the dailies, the conversation never stops.
It's another beautiful Monday morning in the big and beautiful city of Ibadan. Time check 9:32 on Solutions 939 FM. My name is ADEDAMOLA LAFENWA. This is the very last day in the month of September 2024. We need to thank God for the grace, for giving us the grace to be among the living this morning, at least seeing us through the first Ember month in the year 2024. Comrade AYODEJI is right here in the studio with me. A beautiful morning to you, Comrade AYODEJI.
Yes, a beautiful morning to you, my comrade brother, and of course, a wonderful Monday morning to our listeners and viewers around the world, wherever they may be located. Just like you said, it's the very last day of the third quarter. And then we roll into the final quarter, the one we call the home run.
The home run, yeah, okay. Now, talking about the home run, we're starting a new month tomorrow. That is the 1st of October. And it is a very significant day in the history of our great nation, Nigeria, which is the independence anniversary of this great nation. And looking at the things so far, with what I'm seeing on the papers this morning, it seems there is another protest looming because according to the papers now, protesters, some organizers are already trying to organize another massive protest tomorrow. And you begin to wonder, are these protests really necessary? And if they are necessary, are they doing it the right way? Are they taking the right approach? And it's believed in some quarters that maybe the government is even gagging the mouth of the protesters with what we saw in the last protest, which is the end of bad governance protest and the reaction of the federal government to the protesters. We still have some protesters in custody as we speak.
I doubt if government can gag 230-something million people. That is a legitimate right of the people. I mean, protest. It is a legitimate.
If it is the legitimate right of the people to protest, then why are some protesters in custody till now?
Well, if
we're talking about thousands of protesters,
the security people believe laws have been breached, I mean, yes, they will take the necessary security measures, and of course, they are considered innocent under the Nigerian law until proven guilty. So.
All right, let's take a look at the stories on the front pages of newspapers this morning. I have the Vanguard right here with me this morning, and the biggest story on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this Monday morning says, October 1, police deploy in state as organizers insist on protest. And quite a number of riders under that caption, government failed to address protesters' demands. Deji Adeyanju hopes more detained protesters will be released today. And still taking the riders, refrain from any act of violence. FG, Give FG more time to fix economy. Kogi police. Restriction of protests to 2 designated venues still stands. Lagos State Government. CP Lagos meets organizers, assures on security, professionalism. Jigawa Police deploy men today. Don't join any protest. NAUS tells varsity students. Okay, that is so much on the protest that is about to take place. Another protest taking place tomorrow. Away from the protest story, we will resist unitarianism in Nigerian politics. Afenifere, I think that is talking about decentralizing the government, not concentrating everything on the federal government. We'll talk about that in the course of the program. That story is found on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper. Over 40% of Nigerians now enjoy 20 hours of electricity. Power Minister. I don't know whether Comrade AYODEJI falls among these 40% of Nigerians who now enjoy 20 hours of uninterrupted power supply.
No, I do not. No, I do not.
Okay, we'll talk about this as well too. Labour accuses IOC's mining agents of exploiting port workers. Page 13. Cement demand soars amid price hikes, declining purchasing power. And Serap to INEC chair, obey judgment on electoral offences, or that statement is left hanging. That story is found on page 10. Nigeria could end insecurity in 1 year if, says Ondume. That story is found on page 13 of the Vanguard newspaper. Taking a look at the Punch newspaper this Monday morning. October 1 protest. Police man flashpoints. APC opposition clash. And riders, there's a rider under that caption. State police commands deploy teams. Organizers insist on rally as PDP LP berate APC. The story is found on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. I have surpassed the tractor's 8-year achievement. Fubara. That story is found on page 44. Apparently, referring
in less than 2 years. That's monumental. It has to be interrogated.
It has to be. I mean, he said he has surpassed. I'm even more concerned about the adjective he used. I've surpassed the tractor's 8-year achievement.
And he said he was building...
Obviously referring to Nixon Wike.
And he said he was building a neuropsychiatric hospital in Obiakpo. That they will be needing it soon.
Who's building? Okay, Fubara is building that. So who will be the likely patient there?
Well, he just said they will be needing it soon.
Okay. Away from that now, 17 governors raise minimum wage panels. A good one. Okay. I think workers in such states should be expecting the jumbo pay in court.
Jumbo in court, yes.
In court, in court. Naira for crude deal begins Tuesday. Tinubu panel. And let me take a few more stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Nigeria at 64, Obasanjo, Akpabio, SGF service chiefs grace Thanksgiving service. FG raises teams to avert ASU strike. Police begin probe on lion. Okay, let me take that again. Police begin probe as lion kills keeper in Obasanjo library. That's a sad one. Just recently, we had a lion attack in one of the nation's zoological gardens, and we're having another one barely a few months after. Yeah. I think some drastic measures need to be placed, at least to safeguard the lives of people taking care of these animals.
Yeah, procedures. There are procedures, and those procedures, I think, should be followed strictly.
Okay. And looking at the Nigerian Tribune this morning, more than 40% Nigerians now enjoy 20 hours power supply daily. Minister, page 6. Nationwide strike. ASU 6 Abdul Salami Koka Dangote's intervention. That story is found on page 2. Tinubu appoints Tegbe as China-Nigeria Partnership Caesar. That story is found on page 7 of the Nigerian Tribune. China prepared to lend more. FG not discussing debt forgiveness with Beijing. Minister. Still trying to take stories from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Lion kills 35-year-old handler at Obasanjo Library, Presidential Library, Zoological Garden. FG hands over 64 CNG buses to labor unions. NANS. LG poll. Court orders Rivers Electoral Commission to use 2023 voter register. Page 2. And the last one, Edo election further exposes INEC's incompetence. Afenifere. Riders says result lacks integrity. We are compiling documents to challenge outcome in court. PDP. It's 9:40 on Solutions 93.9 FM, still on from the dailies. And let me take the very last stories on the front page of the last paper I have with me this morning. That is a Guardian newspaper. Only 7 of 20 subsidiaries viable as NNPCL battles 22 trillion naira debt. I mean, and on the front page, there is a breakdown of the statistics of the money being owed these subsidiaries of the NNPCL. Away from that, Obaseki Shaibu Bika over alleged plot to invade government house. I thought this should have the dust being raised by the Obaseki and Shaibu should have gone down. I mean, since the election has come and gone, and but I think somebody is flexing muscle, or really they are flexing muscles with themselves now.
Who is causing them sleepless night? I don't understand why. Well, you know, by court pronouncement, he's the.
Yes, by court pronouncement, he's a deputy governor. He's a deputy
and they were declarative judgments, we're told.
Yeah, definitely. PDP crisis deepens as North Central Caucus insists on replacing Damagum. Page 9 of The Guardian has that story. FGUK's 350 billion naira to tackle flooding. And another one, Serap Action Aid demand INEC's prosecution of bribery offences against governors' deputies. 96% of SMEs struggling under inflation control policies. Economist 1. That story is found on page 6. And the last one, anxiety as Tinubu's government braces for second mass protest in 2 months. All right, Comrade AYODEJI, it's about time for us to get your own perspective on these stories. Let me start with the power sector. And that statement coming from the Honorable Power Minister, Minister of Power, that is Bayo Adelabu, saying that over 40% of Nigerians now enjoy 20 hours of electricity. And after he made that statement, actually, there have been reactions to that claim by the Power Minister. Okay, let me read this story now. However, Adelabu's claim did not go down well with electricity consumers in Nigeria, who still grapple with adequate power supply. Now, the Electricity Consumer Protection Advocacy Center Executive Director Prince Will Okorie, in a statement, described Adelabu's claim as laughable. Where are the reports from the 36 states? You have 774 local governments in Nigeria. If you take 40% of the population of citizens in these local governments, you will know what the data is. Let's take it from there.
I think, okay, he made some claims, 40%. He also said that installed capacity for power generation has gone up. That they're now doing, I think, 11 from to 11 or is it 12 to 13,000 megawatts. Okay, let's look at what you are generating. Even currently, say they are wheeling 5,000. I don't think it's even up to 5,000 that they are wheeling. Okay, there are 3 parts to this. There is a generation part, there is a transmission part, and there is a distribution part. The federal government has divested some of its interest in the generation and transmission and distribution. but holds on firmly to transmission as a national security matter. Look, why did it become a national security matter? It became a national security matter only when we resolved for a national grid. I am not sure a nation the size of Nigeria, 1 million square kilometers, and when one senior man who used to be NEPA or PHCN, an engineer, explained to me the way we are transmitting power, he called it radial transmission. It doesn't make so much sense after all. So now Adelabu is saying, okay, how much are we willing? We have installed capacity to generate 13,000, but we cannot even we cannot deliver. So that let's use the language. If you have installed capacity of 13,000 and all you can deliver out of the 13,000 installed capacity you have is only 5,000. So that's it. There's more than a 50% gap.
It said 5,500 megawatts.
That's what that's what they can will. So what happens to the remaining 6,500 that you can generate? You're not talking about that. Now, okay, you say you have power delivered to 24 hours or 20 hours to 40% Nigerians. I don't think facts on ground support that. Yes, those who are on band A. And who are the people on band A? I will give an example of Lagos. There is a thermal plant in Ikorodu axis. Everybody along that line, whether they want it or not. And look at people in Ikosi. Look at people in Ketu. Those who own those small shops. Shops that are sometimes, how many feet? Maybe 6 feet, 6 feet with the width of their door. And then 8 feet, the length inside. And they have a meter. And then you start asking them to deliver 30,000, 40,000, I have friends around that axis. One girl was telling me that they are doing 10,000 naira per week. That they have even switched off everything, that they don't even pump water with electricity anymore. It is cheaper for them to buy. These are people earning 150, 200,000. That minus the cost of transport. You migrate everybody forcefully. People should have choices. There is band A, there is band B, there is band C. And then there is this tactics. Those who do not have prepaid meters.
Prepaid meters, yeah.
Before I got prepaid meters, we kept asking, because they could not access our meters. It is an area where people lock their gates at all times. And when people are not, you don't expect people to be at home in the morning. So when you come in the morning, you cannot access. So we were getting bills.
Estimated billing.
And then we said, look, how do you arrive
at these figures?
Bills? One of them told me, I said, see, we have targets. And all we simply do in areas like this is to count the number of houses and distribute evenly. Or when we say, okay, one particular house has a number of apartments, and we just distribute.
Not minding whether the power was actually consumed.
Not even minding. Yeah, that is it. Rather than come in and do an enumeration of your consumption. You want to put a generator somewhere. I was asking our engineer yesterday, so what's our load, because you have to calculate the load. You understand? But no, that's not it. What kind of... And, okay, provide metering. They won't do that. Because that's going to... If you don't supply power, there won't be revenue. You understand? But I must also say, I was listening this morning as I came to the breakdown. It's not as if I'm unfamiliar with it. But for God's sake, if you're paying 50 naira per kilowatt, look, let's be honest, that is not a fair amount to be paying. That's the reality. We should not deceive ourselves.
That's not fair. Fair in what sense?
Fair or value.
We're paying lower or
lower.
More than
56 naira, you're on band B. 63 marks if you're on band B. Or 68, I think. That's not a fair amount for 1 kilowatt of power. That is the reality. But are we okay if you get the power? You understand? I can regulate how much power I consume. I can regulate it. You understand? I will regulate it. It is here that people mess around with water and power. We mess around. People leave lights on. I grew up in a home where I think my parents will be going around switching everything off. Even if you are in bed, you have slept, come and switch the phone on, or you have these lights on, So we don't have the right attitude towards power consumption. Some people connect their lamps, street lamps, direct to these PHCN lines. No switching off, no switching on. It's just permanently on. You understand? I mean, even government, street lights, government street lights, you see them on in the day. You understand? That's not the way to go. That's not the way to go. But let there be metering. And then you see this our attitude of subversion. You go and bypass the connections. You connect directly. I don't understand why people do that. It is not nice.
It is actually criminal.
It is criminal. It is criminal. Miscellaneous offences tribunal. It is criminal. But you see, who will take who to which court? People will just collect. Their own transaction on it.
But talking about this subversion thing, we've had cases of I don't want to mention them, but we've had cases of connivance with the officials of this. What do I call them?
Of course,
connivance. I mean, I've seen practical cases of people who are doing it, and they said, okay, when it is time for the NEPA or the what do they call them now? PHCN officials to go round, or discos rather, to go round. They give them a call. Okay, we'll be coming to your area, so balance well. You understand by balance well? That means so. I mean, there's a kind of connivance with the insiders.
Yes, I think you see. Okay, I mean, just imagine that you are working in a company. These discos are privately owned entities. You understand? And you are subverting your own company where you earn your daily bread. Who does that? You understand? Who does that? You're subverting the company where you earn your daily pay, where income must be generated. So what kind of a mind produces such thought processes? Don't they know what they're doing? If you're subverting your own company, at the end of the day, that company may run bankrupt. If these guys are running as private entities, that they do not have linkage or support from government, they will go bankrupt.
Okay, so much on the power sector.
People open businesses, and people look at it now. You remember one guy or lady in one of the ShopRite installations in Lagos went to all the location, a point, with our own POS and made over 200 million naira. I mean, these are criminal. These are purely criminal elements. Can you imagine what kind of business are you running that somebody will take 200 million out of it? Even if it was a multi-billion turnover, and somebody takes 200 million out of it.
All right, let's move away from the power sector now. It's 7 minutes to 10.
What Adelabu was simply saying was to, there's
an imminent cabinet reshuffle, so I think it's just I remember I think in one of the dailies last week it was said that the president said, okay, it's time for them to show their scorecard. So I think it's just a way of letting Mr. President know that so far so good.
Those are dubious claims. Let me tell you. And I make bold to say that in my area we had a problem with our transformer. The leg, they have those things have legs. They said one particular leg that affected our area. We didn't have power for 1 week, and we paid. We had to pay to get it fixed. We paid to get it fixed.
Okay, let's move away from
private
that. We'll readdress that particular issue maybe in the course of the week, talking about power. And maybe we will have, because we need to know who should be responsible for the repairs of such equipment in the areas.
They are private companies. They supply me with power. I pay for services. What should be my business you see, and we are also indulging them. You see, there was a particular area. I said, look, I'm not going to. My wife was usually the one that was, the liaising person. She will call them and say this. And one time they came around with, and you know people too, these neighborhood associations, they want to quickly make some, the irresponsible ones. And they want to make some, they say, you will pay, we are going to pay for it. And then my wife will pick up our call and say, and place the call above, the unit entity. And those ones will say, No. We have let them simply write a request and this and that. And then they will formalize it. And then everybody will go under.
All right, away from that, let's talk about the protest now. Anxiety as Tinubu's government braces for second mass protest in 2 months. I mean, this is becoming too much for Mr. President in the last 2 months. I mean, is this, should we see it as an indication of the general performance of this administration that probably Nigerians are not truly happy with the look of things at the moment? I mean, 2 massive protests coming up in 2 months.
Yeah, I think it is necessary. It is an indicator of the perception of Nigerians towards this administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the federal level. But I think people should also pay attention to the subnationals. You see, we think Nigerians, because of the military interregnum, long military interregnums that we have had in Nigeria, governance has been inverted. Governance is not about the federal government. Governance is about the subnationals. It is the subnationals that make up the national entity. But because we operate a handout governance now, what we call federalism, it is no longer federalism. It should be top to bottom, it should be bottom to top, not to bottom. So everybody is protesting against the federal government. Okay, what about the governors? Look at it. They say every time they do FAC meeting, the week after, the price of the dollar goes up because they are busy changing. They are busy changing money from naira to dollar. You must have been following the case of Suzwa. 3 something billion naira way back when he was governor. They said it that every weekend, like the moment they meet in Abuja like this, that particular week, the price of the dollar, just watch it, the exchange rate of the dollar to the naira goes up.
Because there is a high demand for dollar. Is that what?
Because those who are collecting the allocations are changing
the naira
whatever
dollar so that it will be easier for them to.
Yes, now to manage.
For easier storage.
Yes, to manage. So there's too much concentration of attention on the national government, and sometimes I find it tiring when I hear a federal government gives 1 trillion to states. Is it federal government giving? I know federal government is not giving now. It is money that it is states that are contributing this money. What money is federal government contributing? What does federal government own? All this federal government owns an NPC. Federal government, you see, all these things, we have to get it into our heads.
I understand the fact that you're saying that probably Nigerians should concentrate more on their locals. I'm talking about the governors, their local government chairmen, and everything. But some Nigerians will tell you that the policies being introduced by the government at the federal level is having ripple effect on the economy.
Are lazy.
Looking at this particular story now, 96% of SMEs struggling under inflation control policies, economists warn. And these are one of the reasons why there have been series of protests in recent times.
I got you. Yes, I got you on that. You see, but what are our governors are indolent. I don't even want to use the word lazy. They are mentally indolent. Before we came on here, we were talking about states, the extractive industries. Why are the states not collecting licenses to extract whatever minerals are in there? Why do
domain?
In the domain. Why does Lagos State not have an operating license to extract crude oil? Why does Rivers not have? Why does Osun not have? Of course, I think they already succeeded in doing that. Why does Osun not have a license to extract gold? You understand? One minister will sit in Abuja and grant licenses, and you cannot even ask those guys, They just wave their license in your face. You understand? They will be. So I think our own government is not taking it lightly. Like the issue of lithium here. You understand? They're working hard at it. You understand? So our governors are just indolent. They're just indolent. They just want to collect and not. You have to be. That's why I said, just like our universities, our governors, we must ask our governor, what can you do? Not you just collect money. You go and collect money.
No, there's a difference between, okay, you're a governor and you're able to generate revenue.
Yes, creatively.
Creatively. Now, how does that trickle down to the masses? It's a different ballgame when I'm generating revenue and I'm just keeping it somewhere or using it on some other developmental project.
Yeah.
But how are the masses, how are the downtrodden going to benefit from such things? If you want to look at the governors, what should be the role of the governors to the masses now?
Yes, number
Especially
one. I know you have always talked about the issue of the role of governors in food production. Now, enabling environment. You understand? They may not have the control over security, you understand, and which is critical. I remember in the days of Babangida was sad that he ended up the way he did, but he came up with brilliant ideas. My father was on that committee. Nalda, something back to the land. Expansive land was given to Nalda to cultivate, but his issue is after cultivation. What about storage? What about value addition? I know that there is a little bit some work going on in Oyo State, for instance, but are the farmers, look at, talking about the federal government now in terms of food production, look at it. Fertilizer is coming from Abuja. Okay, what the fertilizer we need here may be different from the one they need in Bayelsa, may be different from the kind of fertilizer they need in Sokoto, Zamfara, but yet it is coming. So, and agric is on the concurrent list too. Agric is on the. Why can't the state governors, you understand, come together and say, Mr. President, take your hands off the issue? What is the federal government doing with the Ministry of Agric, Ministry of Water Resources? Which land does the federal government control? Which land is under control of federal government in Nigeria? That they are having Ministry of Water Resources, that they are having Ministry of Agric. Which land is under the control of the federal government, even according to the Constitution of Nigeria today? So these are the things that but you see, these state governors, they do not have the conviction. It takes conviction for you to say, look, these are the issues that we're confronted with. Geopolitical zones, let them get together. You understand? These are the challenges peculiar to us. Let us find a way and then reach out to the other geopolitical. What are the challenges? It's not about challenging the president. It's not about confronting, but the interest of Nigeria. But are they interested in Nigeria? The interest of the people, the interest of Nigerians.
But now let's look at this protest again. Now, government failed to address protesters' demands. Talking about the last protest.
Yes.
Did Adeyanju say this?
Then, that's obvious. Nigerians are not getting a respite, and I see probably even harder times ahead. Somebody was telling me, I think I sent it to you. I'm not sure I sent it to you. Somebody was telling me a niece of mine, in a very long conversation, barely 3 weeks ago. And she told me, she said, Uncle, by the end of this year, people will be resigning their jobs because they cannot sustain going back and forth every day based on what they are. Just about 3 weeks ago.
That is very obvious.
And I saw a report. I'm not sure whether I shared it with you. That people, just 3 weeks ago, that it is no longer sustainable for them to go back and forth.
I guess that was why some state, like Osun State, Governor Demola Adeleke gave the workers there some days to come to work.
An agrarian state too.
You can imagine.
An agrarian state too.
And that shows the level we have degenerated into.
You can imagine what, when my niece gave me a breakdown of what it costs to move around. She told me that the security men holds 2 jobs. That some of them, people go home weekends. People stay.
Sometimes I know some people that on a daily basis, going to and fro to work, they spend nothing less than 4,000 naira.
In this Ibadan?
In this Ibadan, yes. Not to and fro.
You see, that is why.
Nothing less than 4,000 on a daily basis.
That is why I advocate. You see, if people do their math, you see, this going back and forth. You think the cost of
salaries are not increasing now.
You will think the cost, even if it's increasing, at what rate to, to inflation and all of that. If you're living in an apartment and you think the apartment is cheap, add other costs like 4,000 per day. If you go, that is 20,000 per week. Multiply that by 52.
And there are some jobs that you can't just afford. You just have to be there physically.
So you multiply that by 52 and then add that to the differential in the cost of the apartment in which you are living far away, and add it to what it might be if you are living closer in these areas you think are expensive.
Now, somebody is saying in the paper that give FG more time to fix the economy. How long will Nigerians have to wait? With all these things we have highlighted this morning now, we keep getting the word, give us more time, give us more time.
To do what?
To fix the economy.
To inflict more pain?
To fix the economy according to the papers.
You see, a major factor is energy, power. That's what drives our own economy. Energy, power. Like I said, the issue of power. Now, I'm freezing my stuff. Maybe I sell fish. Maybe I sell soft drinks. If I sell fish, I have a cold store in Ikorodu, for instance. You see, one thing about fish is that you cannot, frozen foods, you cannot afford to lower the temperature, raise it, lower the temperature. It has to be, because it will affect the taste. You understand? And when the taste changes, you understand, that means it is going bad. So if you say power is supplied 24 hours or 20 hours, and I put it off and on in order to cut the cost of power, it will damage in the long run, except you have a quick turnover of it. So people cost is rising, and there is no end in sight. That is the problem. And of course, we are under a government that is raising taxes. That's another factor. Raising taxes.
Raising taxes in the midst of...
Of course. I mean...
in the midst of all this.
Raising taxes now, they have to raise taxes because they need the revenue. Even the idea of... even the idea of, merging the two windows of foreign exchange was...
when you mentioned raising taxes, I know some Nigerians in diaspora, they would say, oh yes, what is the big deal about taxes? They pay taxes over there too. But some Nigerians will question them that the taxes you're paying there, you're getting the value for such.
Period.
Because I've seen so many Nigerians in diaspora coming out to say, oh, Nigerians should stop complaining. What is the big deal about the taxes we are paying? They are paying taxes over there too. But... they are paying
taxes.
The power. They pay tax for the power. They pay tax for the security. They pay tax for the water, which are all these things are being provided by the government. There.
They pay taxes and they get value. That is just it. You see, look at the national health insurance in England, for instance. You understand? Yes, in the United States, you have to pay for your health care to a certain level, but they're getting value. They are getting value. Ordered society. You see, just like the elder statesman Dr. Yemi Farumbi said here in the studio yesterday, you see, the people that are supposed to put things right in this country, it's not as if they don't know what to do. But if they do so, it will put them out of their free meals. It's as simple as that. I recall the issue of, it remains the classical example, this issue of Lagos City Council. They went on a tour in the early 50s. They went on a tour of European capitals. How are they managing their waste, central sewage and all of that. And they came back, Lagos City Council, and they said, okay, we've been all over the world, and we've seen how they're managing their, their waste, all sorts of waste, how they're managing it, to dispose of it, to regenerate, to reuse. And it was put to a vote that Lagos developed way back in the early 50s a centralized sewage system where waste would be centrally managed and, it could be turned into something useful. Sir, that's where a waste is poured in Lagos. If you get a jabori, the one they call catfish from Osa, the skin will be as thick. As thick, yeah. Because they are eating
better. In quotes.
But now they voted against that central sewage in Lagos. Now, you saw up till the mid-90s, people carrying bucket disposable, what do you call it? Waste in Lagos, in the heart of Lagos. If they had done it then, they would simply have imposed tax on people. I keep reminding people that in the south, in the western region, when Awolowo introduced free education, because we got value, people have forgotten that there was education tax. People don't remember that anymore. And the reason why we don't remember anymore that an education tax was imposed is because what we got, the value we got,
the value we got, the benefit we got,
totally outweighs
what we paid.
That is it. So, just like in Europe, the North American continent, people are getting value. They're getting value. And that is the problem with us here. We are not challenging. We are not asking questions. We are not insisting. That is why this protest is necessary. This protest is not just protest. They are questions. Why are things this hard? It will soon degenerate into specifics. This is just a general protest against hardship. People will soon start taking up specifics. You understand? Specific, this is how things start. Okay, when the process does not produce result, they will reconvene and say, look, this general protest is not working. Let us break it down. What are the areas of these challenges that we are confronted with? Okay, food production. This is how things evolve. You know, general protest. No, there are all these ones that are during general protest. They will deploy police, they will go back, and then another protest. At the end of the day, they will have to be organized. Okay, economy. What aspects of the economy? Taxation, budget performance, then food production. Then they will start breaking it down. And then it comes into pressure groups, you know, everybody dovetails into an area of his specialty or areas where he is interested. Then, you see, I believe we are evolving. Yesterday, Dr. Edward Sisman and Dr. Emifa Ruby talked about the force of inertia, that these processes are unstoppable, that it is only a matter of time. I know that the government, I'm sure the president is watching, and I don't think he's going to be lax about it.
Okay, let's move
He's
away
a student
from
of
that.
history.
Yeah, he is a student of history. And looking at the story coming from AFENWA, we will resist unitary state. And talking about unitary state, it's a system of political organization.
What's the meaning of that? What have we been running?
Well, I'm trying to explain the meaning. They will resist it. It's not workable. It's not bringing out the needed fruits.
Let's read a part of the story.
It said a system of political organization in which most or all of the governing power resides in a centralized government, in contrast to a federal state. I mean, we talked about it. Yes. That's how
I don't understand what they mean. Look, we have a unitary,
in Nigerian politics.
Nigerian
politics,
we have a unitary constitution. Just go and look at what is on the exclusive list, what is on the concurrent list, and what is on the residual list. All powers reside at the center. Unitary. What else can be more unitary than 36 governors and the Minister of FCT sending their commissioners to Abuja to go and collect allocation? What is more unitary than that? I don't understand though. Maybe they are just waking up from a slumber. Whoever issued that statement, he must have woken up from one long slumber. What have we been operating? They gather in Abuja, 36, with the federating units gather in Abuja to go and collect allocation every month. They say we're going to...
But he's not saying that it's not workable.
Well, it's not workable. Okay, what are the alternative plans that they have? People should stop all this.
I think he's trying to say maybe governance should be decentralized.
What are they proposing? People should stop criticizing. What's their proposition? AFENWA has been talking about, what do they call this thing? They have a cliche. Is it decentralization or restructuring?
Restructuring, yeah.
You see, when you're talking about restructuring, what does it mean? We have spoken about sectors, which you break it down to people. To some people, restructuring is a threat. That mere word is a threat is an existential threat that they want to take it from us. But you are not breaking it down. You're not making it look attractive. It is looking like a weapon against some people. And we're saying that restructuring is not something about politics. It is about governance. That it has to do with restructure, not just the political, structure, the judicial structure. We are talking about how it requires restructuring. You understand? Even the economy, which has to be restructured. What is federal government doing with Ministry of Water Resources? Which land does the federal government control that they are doing Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Water Resources? That they are distributing fertilizer from Abuja. Is it the same fertilizer that they need in Bayelsa, that they need in Kano, that they need in Oyo State? These are the things that they should break down and develop a policy. But and Babade Banjo, in the past 40 years, they will just say, Nigeria must be restructured. Nigeria, what does it mean? What do they mean when they're saying Nigeria must be restructured? They mean, when that cliche comes out, restructuring like this, some people will just flinch and cringe and say these people are coming for us. But you are not making it look attractive. You understand? You have to make it look attractive. You have to. It is not. Look, we are in a union. You understand? When we're in a union, you have to be very persuasive. I mean, do you order your wife around? Do you even order your children around? Can you order your children around? Like Baba said yesterday, even children, of course, your own generation too. Your father will say, Joko Sibe Mumbo. You will not say why. Children will ask you why now. They will say why.
Why must I sit down?
Why must I sit down?
Come back.
And you are not coming with me. Say why? You know. So the times are different. Now you are in a relationship. You are in a union, a federal union. You are saying we must restructure. Nigeria must restructure. You must make it attractive that this is in the interest of all. And it is actually in the interest of all. Look, it is not in the interest of the people.
Okay, now still talking about Afenifere still made another statement too, but this one is towards politics, the Edo election. Edo election further exposes INEC's incompetence, Afenifere.
Well, there has been proposition for the unbundling of, is it INEC? There was a proposition for the unbundling of INEC. INEC, okay, look at the United States. Is there any INEC that is organizing this November election, presidential election? There's no INEC now. Everybody is in charge of his territory. SSG. It is the SSG of each state that is in charge of election.
But that system America
uses,
the system America uses, is it workable in Nigeria?
No, we customize it. You just customize it now. We even have to bring our own down to local government.
Because we over there, it's a different ball game when we talk about politics. We know all the things that happened before and during and even after the politics. Those things don't hardly happen.
We're going to be drawing from their own experiences. It is not what they do in Lagos that we must do in Oyo. All this uniformity, you see, our military experience, the military thought they could decree unity. That was one day I asked Ambassador Yemi, I said, Obasanjo, when he was military head of state, he did some things, and which is obvious that he thought they could decree unity. You cannot decree unity. Federal universities, they took over everything. They even took over Daily Times that was privately owned. You understand? Daily Times died now. Look at Tribune. Tribune is still thriving. Daily Times died. They took it over. They took over WNTV, WNBS. Go to NT, the one they call NT now. Go there now and see the shell. You go to you're a product of FRCN now. What is in FRCN now? Thriving, just a hollow, I call it a hollow chamber now. And then they have titles. You understand? So, all these things that people are talking about, we should be realistic. You cannot decree unity. You cannot decree development. You cannot decree growth. People have to work together. People have to be thinking. You understand? All these things, federal. Yes, I believe in this country. You understand? You understand? I believe, because if you are living, if you are in a union, should be your marriage. My friend gave me a description of a union. He said, okay, you are dating a girl. You call her in the morning. In this age, or if you don't call, you send one sweet text. Even at night, you send one sweet text. You send memes and all of that. And then you take her out to lunch. Say, no, don't cook. That will be stressful. Let's go out and dine. She's coming to your place. You probably order an Uber. That will be stressful. This hour, there will be a lot of traffic. Let me order an Uber for you. And then after you marry her now.
It's a different ball game.
You don't want to do that. Instead of doing more. My friend now said, it's like you have a goat. You know goats eat, what do they call this thing? Cassava peels. He said, your goat will always return home to you if the goat knows that what I have at home is better than
what you can give me anywhere.
Your goat will always come home. So that is the relationship. Nobody cares. You go online and see the way some ethnic nationalities are talking ill about the others. When I hear some Nigerians call people Hausa, they just use one blanket reference to everybody from Ilori Opos and call them Hausas.
Comrade, because of our time, let's quickly talk about the Obaseke Shaibu Bruhaha again. Obaseke Shaibu bicker over alleged plot to invade government house. Now, I think the Obaseke's camp is giving that action a big word. Because I know there was a court judgment again over the weekend or thereabout. I don't know whether you saw the story saying that throwing out the Obaseke's government actually took Shaibu to court for a stay of order.
Oh yeah, stay of order
on that judgment. But the court threw the judgment, I mean the case out. And even threw it out, and even told Obaseke and every party involved in that suit to pay Shaibu 200,000 naira each.
Cost.
Now with that judgment, with that action by the court, Shaibu wants to go to the government house, his office. Obaseke's camp is saying he wants to invade.
You know what I found strange about this is that
I'm more concerned about the word invade. This is somebody that has been pronounced legally.
Well, perception. It depends on which side you are. So that's what they see. They see whatever, and they see it as an attempt to invade.
But the court has already given the judgment.
They're on from the mirror, from the prism at which they are looking at it. It is an invasion. Because this morning, I was asking myself, when I saw those stories, I said, okay, these were from my own layman's, view, that these were declarative judgments and pronouncement. Why is the police? I started asking myself that question this morning when I read that the police has even gone to seal the office of the deputy governor up. You understand? The one that Shaibu was expelled to, that they have gone, the police, federal agents have gone to seal it off, and even asked the state government has asked the employees there to go and report to another office, so they're not even there, and the police sealed it off and placed an APC.
There was a time he was locked out of his office.
Yes, even the new office where he was sent to, that's not where the new deputy governor is operating from. So they have gone to seal that one of police. I was now asking myself, why is the police not enforcing the order of
the court?
They are declarative judgments. That is, but you see, if they do that now, that they will always color it. PDP will say police is supporting Shaibu because he has the camps to APC,
The ruling party.
The ruling party. They're using police to intimidate the people. You understand? Ordinary, routine things. But because the police, in the perception of the people, have been deployed to achieve ends that are, looking opaque. The police has lent itself rather than just reading the books and doing the needful. You understand? So that is the dilemma of the police. So I think they are just, this is, we are going into October, Obaseki or whatever. But I think what Shaibu is doing is, is in the public eye of the public, and is, and then they will call him when this one, Opebolo, will say, okay, they didn't pay you. For how long they didn't pay you? And I think he's a smart guy. He has been, he's been in the eye of the storm, and he has remained relevant. And so when they are distributing positions now, they won't make him anything. So, but some of his boys will be handed.
Definitely.
And then he remains. Relevant.
Irrelevant. Okay.
And then he will be invited to Abuja for an appointment very soon.
I can see the calculations
now. He's a
now.
good politician.
He is, and I think he delivered in court.
At least he delivered for himself.
For the APC too now. For the APC, I mean, it's not easy to remain in the because to be in the power of an opposition party.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the sitting deputy governor and still worked for an opposition party and to claim the victory.
He has remained relevant.
He remains relevant.
Yes.
All right, comrade, that's the much we can take. I would have loved us to talk about this subsidiaries, NNPC.
We will. It's not going to go away.
We'll talk about it in the course of the week.
We will.
We'll talk about. So thank you very much, comrade, for being a part of the program today.
My pleasure always to be on this platform. I do not take it for granted at all. And I do wish you and our listeners and viewers a most fruitful week.
All right, I'll be back again tomorrow morning for a fresh edition of From the Dailies on Solutions 93.9 FM. My name is AYODEJI LAFENWA, wishing every one of us a very fruitful day. Good morning.
They paved paradise and put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. They took all the trees and put them in a tree museum and charged the people $1.50 to see them. No, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Hey, farmer, put away your DDT. I don't care about spots on my apples, leave me the birds and the bees. Please, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Hey, now they paved paradise to put up a parking lot. One night. Listen, late last night, I heard the screen door swing, and a big yellow taxi took my girl away. Now don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Hey, nah, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Why not? They paved paradise, they put up a parking lot. Hey, again. I wanna give it why you wanna give it, why you wanna give it all away. Now you wanna give it, she wanna give it 'cause she giving it all away. Nah, nah. I don't wanna give it why you wanna give it, why you wanna give it all away. Giving it all away. Yeah, yeah.
Why you want it? Why do you
She
want
giving it all away. Hey, babe, paradise, you put up a parking lot. La 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 la, na 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 na.
Solutions 93.9 FM. Ẹ káàárọ̀ nílùú Ìbàdàn. Solutions 93.9 FM.
ẹ tiẹ̀ mọ́ rìn bí mo ṣe ń parí mọ́tò yìí gẹ́lẹ́ lẹ́dẹ̀ o ó yẹ wá yẹ̀wò.